Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce this, to welcome you in this session, Living with Sjögren's Daily Management from Individual Experience. So while we saw that medical research continues to search for new treatments and new answers, every person living with Sjögren's knows that much of the journey happens outside the doctor's office, every single day in the routines, the choice, the adjustments that we need to do to help make life manageable. Self-management is about much more than symptom control. It's about learning to listen to your body, finding balance between rest and activity, dealing with uncertainty, and discovering that what truly helps you live well despite the challenges. Today, we will hear directly from three individuals who live with Sjögren's and have each developed their own strategies to navigate daily life, physically, emotionally, and socially. Their experience will remind us that there's no single way to live with this condition, but there's much we can learn from one another. But first, I'm very pleased to leave the floor to Maria Picone, CEO of Trend, who has made a very inspiring study of Sjögren patients. And the study is called Dry Doesn't Mean Defeated, Facing Pain and Fatigue Together in the Sjögren's Community. So they will shine a light on the overlooked burden of pain and fatigue in Sjögren's. Through lived experience and real-world insight, they have explored how these symptoms impact daily life, emotional well-being, and relationships, and how better recognition can drive more compassionate care and meaningful change. Maria?
Thank you. Thank you, Coralie. All right. So yes, my name is Maria Picone. I am the co-founder and CEO of what we call a community-powered data analytics company that I co-founded with my husband after our first child, our daughter, was born and diagnosed with a rare disease called Prader-Willi syndrome. My only disclosure is that this work that I'm going to present today was funded by Amgen, and I want to thank Amgen for being an incredible partner over the last several years, 4 years I think now, in the work that we've been doing in partnership with Sjögren Europe. So just to set the stage, what do I mean by a community-powered data analytics company? My job's gotten a little easier with the explosion of AI. I'm sure you all are familiar with, ChatGPT and generative AI. But for quite some time now, companies have been using natural language processing and machine learning, social listening technologies to monitor how people talk about their companies, their brand, the sentiment around those products on social media. And so we've taken that same technology and adapted it to understand how patients, caregivers, care partners talk about their experiences on social media. And previously, the previous panel that we're talking about mental health highlighted the importance of community and support. And many of us go to those online communities to find others who are living with our same condition, especially for something that is not common, so we can find people around, connect with people around the world. And we often do so in sort of bespoke communities for our condition. And so this presents a really nice opportunity for us to be able to tap into those online conversations and analyze them to do research and shed light on the condition. There are a few things that differentiate us from other kind of social listening platforms, like why can't you just do this using ChatGPT? The first is in the middle there, that our technology. So for the past, nearly 10 years, we've been training our engine to do this type of work, to understand how people talk about their experiences in their own words, even when they may not know that they're experiencing a specific symptom. To give you a quick example, kind of to help you understand that, my daughter's condition, as I said, is Prader-Willi syndrome. And using this social listening technique, we linked Prader-Willi syndrome to another rare disease called narcolepsy. So at the time, the kids were experiencing these strange behaviors, and the parents actually thought that their kids were faking sleep. And so as we started to explore the data and the conversations and partnered with pediatric neurologists, we found that there were many clues in the conversations that the kids were actually experiencing symptoms of narcolepsy and cataplexy. And so for our community, that was kind of pivotal. And it was important in a couple of ways because we didn't have any natural history data on narcolepsy and Prader-Willi syndrome. And as you know, if you don't have data, you can't do drug development. And we had an interested biotech company that wanted to partner with us to do a clinical trial on Prader-Willi syndrome. There had never been a study conducted on any other endpoint other than the primary symptom, which is something called hyperphagia and an insatiable hunger. And so how could we even convince the FDA that we could do this study? So we were able to take the anecdotal data using this approach, sit down with the FDA, and justify doing a clinical trial for excessive daytime sleepiness and Prader-Willi syndrome. So that brings me sort of to the second piece. For us, we're really focused on, filling in those gaps in the medical and scientific understanding of these conditions. And so we've set ourselves up very nicely to be able to publish on the data. Some of the things we've done is our work is guided, is under the oversight of an internal institutional review board, all of our data scientists are HIPAA trained, those sorts of things. And then finally, the last thing is this bidirectionality, the infinity loop. We don't just listen to listen. As we learn, we want to raise awareness within the community. So it's as important to bring we want to bring the lexicon of the community to clinicians, to pharmaceutical companies, but it's just as important as we learn to educate the community. Your kid's not faking it, has a name. It's narcolepsy, and that empowers us to have better conversations with our healthcare providers. So as with any methodology, there are strengths and limitations. So the strengths, some of them here, the real world insights, as Coralie said, outside of a clinical setting. As we know, a lot happens in the real world, and it's hard to even tell our doctors all of the things that are going on in that, maybe an hour, if you're lucky, that you get with your doctor. It's large-scale data, so even if it's a rare, an ultra-rare disease, if you have 100 or hundreds or thousands of people talking about it on social media, that's a lot of data. For any of you who have tried to conduct a survey or something like that, it's hard to get a lot of responses. It's timely, and there's reduced recall bias. So it's in the moment. You're going to social media, you have a problem, you're sharing it, you're looking for support, as compared to being in a clinical setting where you have to remember, how severe was the pain? How did I feel in that moment? On the other side, limitations, there's selection bias. These are people who are on social media and, active on social media, have access to social media. Language and context, again, this is sort of what the problem we're trying to solve for, not necessarily using the correct terms to describe their condition or their symptoms. And then there's a lack of medical context. Of course, there's not a doctor sort of in the loop to confirm that what we're sort of picking up is a legitimate symptom or medical condition. I put this slide in just to show we've been working with your community since 2021 in partnership with Sjögren Europe and ERA and Reconnect, and funded by Legacy Horizon, now Amgen. And I just wanted to show all of the things you can do with this sort of very agile and rapid approach to capturing insights. So together we have presented at many scientific meetings, had workshops, symposia, panel discussions, and the most recent output, we actually just published an article on the flare lexicon. So we've been doing work on flares and the lexicon in partnership with Dr. Chiara Baldini. And our goal there was really to kind of bridge the gap, again, between your community and how you perceive and talk about your flares and then how clinicians sort of interpret what's going on and how can we kind of bridge that divide. So today, I'm going to talk about some work that we've been doing exploring dryness, pain, and fatigue and how they affect the daily lives and emotional well-being of people living with Sjögren's. And much of what I present will probably just be validating, but for us, when we do something that is validated by your experiences, it's a big win for us because keep in mind, this is, technology, going into social media and describing your condition without any sort of preconceived notion of what it will find. And our goal here really is to further the understanding of the wide-ranging impacts and hopefully to foster a candid conversation. I was just talking previously, I think it's sort of the trifecta is when you have, the data, you have sort of context from social media, but then you have people who come here live and talk about those conditions and bring the kind of human side of the condition. All right, so for this work, we've been tapping into an online community on Reddit for Sjögren's. So if you don't know what Reddit is just another platform where communities are formed and people have these conversations, and there is one for Sjögren's. And we can do this work on other platforms as well, like, X. We've done historically work on Facebook. We can't currently get access to Facebook groups, but that's something that we've been able to do in the past. The data represent about 12,600 authors. There are actually about 18,000 people in the group. So as you know, not everybody is a contributor, but 12,662 people contributed to these conversations. The time range spans back about 13 years, so 2012. And you can see we have about 10,750 posts and 170,000 comments. And the other nice thing is if you look at the graph, the group is really growing over time. So we call them, they're algorithms, we call them classifiers, so we're training these models to do certain things. And one of our models is to pick up the symptoms people are talking about. And when we ran this on this body of conversation data, pain was the very top symptom that was talked about in this online forum, accounting for 14.1% of all mentions. Dryness appeared second in two main forms, dryness of the eye and dryness of the mouth. And then fatigue and feeling tired came in third. So again, just to validate how burdensome these particular symptoms are on the Sjögren's community. So another tool that we have is that we can look at we call them attributes of daily living, and we don't say activities of daily living because it's a little bit broader, but essentially activities of daily living. And so we looked at the discussions about activities of daily living that co-occurred with a dryness symptom. And what we found is that a lot of impact on, no surprise, eating, drinking, sleeping. And additional research also showed influences on productivity and affects intimacy, relationships, and mental health. And so we also pull out paraphrase quotes from the conversation data just to give more context so you can see sort of the potential. Here I have severe dry eye, they're irritated and inflamed, but worse when I'm sleeping, all right, when I wake up with dry mouth, I struggle with dry vagina and painful intercourse, my body aches all the time, I struggle with brain fog. Okay, so a lot of detail in that one, comment on social media. So we wanted to then dive a little deeper because you can see as we go down, professional activity was another fairly common attribute of daily living. So we wanted to look more closely at that and to interpret this graph. Basically, the higher up and the farther to the right, the more closely associated the clinical concept is with professional activity. And so in discussions about professional activities, the most frequently mentioned clinical concepts were fatigue, pain, stress, and exhaustion. The associated non-clinical language were focused on job, full-time work, home, and disability. Again, another quote. I'm a lawyer, and it's difficult to find a way to do that well when I can't think clearly or stay awake, or when the pain is a distraction. So then we focused on, again, on professional activity. Oh, sorry. So as you can see, I didn't go into that. You can see here, so fatigue, pain, stress bubble up really high, with fatigue being high and far to the right. So we wanted to look more closely at fatigue and co-occurrences of fatigue with attributes of daily living, and professional activity, that should be. And so we find that the terms, again, full-time disability, brain fog, part-time, desk job, able to work, work from home, quality of life, and get out of bed. And so this is just a kind of a quote just to, again, bring home the burden of the fatigue. You may be like the majority of us, fatigue is just part of life. I actually sat and cried one day, and sometimes I still have a day of self-pity over the life I used to have. These days, I have to sit down after a shower to catch my breath. Had to quit my teaching job. I can imagine leaving home to work with this level of fatigue. I wanted to share, actually, in reference to the mental health discussion previously, we did some work in gout where we were focused on the mental health burden. Gout, there's a lot of stigma in gout. And when we looked at the conversation data, when people talked about proactively managing their condition, so going to their rheumatologist, monitoring the uric acid levels, it was associated with positive mental health language. And when they talked about reactively managing their gout, reacting to a flare, going to urgent care, it was associated with negative mental health language. So I just wanted to offer that we have evidence that when you're proactively managing your condition, it does have a positive impact on your mental health. And I bet we would see that in the Sjögren's data as well. Finally, we have an emotion classifier. Paul Ekman described 6 primary emotions that you can see here in the center of the wheel: fear, happiness, anger, sadness, disgust, and the small one is surprise. And so when discussing professional activity, again, we honed in on that. The largest primary emotion is fear, dominated by fear and worry within that primary emotion. Happiness is usually pretty big because within those online support groups, people are very positive and supportive and grateful, thank you. So there's usually also a lot of positive language in there as well. Disgust emotions are 50% hatred with guilt, regret, shame, and embarrassment, all roughly evenly represented as the remaining half. And then words and phrases associated with mentions of fear were symptoms, brain fog, full part-time, side effects, go back, and able to work. Again, a quote, I've been worrying about losing my job in the future due to all the symptoms, including brain fog. And I just stuck this in here, you know, as you all know, this is a very complex condition, and I am very honored to be a part of this community and working with you all. You're very brave and inspiring to show up and advocate and fight for quality of life for everyone in your community. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I suggest we maybe see the question later. Yeah? Okay, it's my pleasure now to call Joyce, our colleague from Sjögren Europe, but also the representative of the Dutch Patient Association. I leave it to you to introduce yourself, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you, Coralie. Everyone has on their table those 2 pamphlets, and I'm going to talk about that. So, we have seen and heard the last 2 days that there is lack of communication between doctors and patients. That's why the Dutch Sjögren Patient Association has developed a tool to facilitate better communication between patients and care providers, and thereby improve quality of care and satisfaction for both patients and doctors or nurses. The aim of the tool is to enable patients to prepare for follow-up visits and prioritize subjects for discussion, and to enable care providers to effectively assess symptoms and address issues related to the well-being of their patients. The aim of the tool, you can read it here, is to help the patients prepare for appointments with the doctors, help patients to reflect on their situation and what they need, help patients and doctors to discuss all subjects related to Sjögren's, and distinguish what is or is not related to Sjögren's, and prioritize questions to be discussed. I like to start with this card. It's the Sjögren symptoms card. Many patients experience stress when they visit their doctor. As a result, they forget what they wanted to ask. The most common Sjögren disease-associated symptoms are set out on this chart. On this card, the patient can score her or his symptoms on a scale, from 0, meaning no complaint, to 10, the highest level of complaint possible. There's also space to include other symptoms not listed, like brain fog, fever, weight loss. Where a patient has previously completed the chart, he or she can see if anything has changed in her or his symptoms and to what extent. I'm going further with the large questionnaire. So we all know that having a disease is so much more than just a bunch of symptoms. It affects our entire life. That's why we added the My Positive Health questionnaire. The questionnaire consists of 42 questions in 6 subjects: body function, mental well-being, very important, we heard today, meaningfulness, quality of life, participation, and daily functioning. Each subject consists of 6 to 8 questions, which can be answered with no, a bit, or yes. In preparation for the consultation, the patient completes the questionnaire. For example, do you enjoy life? You can see here a bit, or yes, or no. Are you happy? Yes, I'm happy because I'm here with you all. At the end of the questions, for each subject, the patient rates that subject. 0 indicates the highest level of complaint, and 10 indicates no complaint. And it's, for your information, the scoring method corresponds to the methods used in international questionnaires for other types of diseases. Then the scores can be transferred to the My Positive Health spiderweb. That's on the back of the card as well. Each subject has its own piece of the hexagon and gives the patient and healthcare provider, for instance, a specialized rheumatology nurse or a specialist, an insight into how the patient is functioning in daily life. The last 3 questions are open-ended, allowing the patients to think about what they can do for themselves or where they can seek help. Let me conclude with the challenges and the opportunities of this tool. The challenges are, is there enough time? We've heard that before today during the follow-up visit. The doctors need to conduct the physical examination and tests in limited time. And they need to monitor the disease activity and distinguish which symptoms are related to Sjögren's. Are the symptoms really attributable to Sjögren's, or does the patient need a referral to a nurse practitioner, a social worker, another specialist, or for instance, a psychologist? And using the tool. Is the tool easy to use for the patients? On the other hand, we have opportunities. Prioritization. I struggle with that word, sorry about that. The tool provides an overview of symptoms, the severity of symptoms, and what the patient suffers from in her or his daily life. A better communication. By using this tool, communication improves during follow-up visits. And an active role. The patient is giving an active role. She or he is better prepared for follow-up visits and knows what to ask. The questionnaire encourages the patient to achieve a better quality of life. And last but not least, an active role for the healthcare professional as well. Using the questionnaire also helps them to achieve a meaningful consultation. And there's some good news, at least we think. On the Dutch Sjögren patients website, you will find an online tool in Dutch. You can access it with the QR code here. You can fill in those tools online, download it, and send it to yourself or to your healthcare professional. And the best news of this, I think, is that we, as a Sjögren Sjögren Europe, are developing the same thing in English. It's going to be on the website, and we're going to translate it in 6 or 7 languages in 2026.
Yeah, thank you, Joyce. It will be probably more like 5 languages to start, because it's a huge job.
Yes.
But nearly, it will be soon, 6 or 7, 8, we aim to provide the tool in every language in Europe. But it's a long way to do it. So at the beginning, it will be probably 5 languages. But thank you so much, Joyce, for your presentation. It will give our members something to think before our next meeting, and you will have obviously all the news to when the tool will be released for all of you, and after that to give to all your members.
Yes. We have a few extra copies here if you like to take it with you.
Thank you, Joyce. Please join us. And speaking of the tool, I would like to welcome Lucio Alves. Lucio, representative of the Portuguese League Against Rheumatism. There's no Sjögren National Patient Association, so it's the National League Against Rheumatism. And Lucio has tested the tool in real life as a real patient every day. So thank you so much, and please give us your experience. Okay. Thank you, Lucio.
Thank you for the invite. Yes, I had experienced this tool because I went in the clinical trial, and during all the consultants, I have the opportunity to fill up the questionnaire, quite similar to this one that was shown. And I think it's a good opportunity for us, all the novices, to think about since the last time we have been in the last consultation, and it helps us to prepare the consultation with the doctor. And I have already been a distracted people since I was young. I have lots of distractions. Now I can associate it to the brain fog and to the disease, but probably it wasn't before that. And since I was young, I need to note, to create some notes of the things that I needed to work about it, even in my work. Since I became worse of my disease, I get also the need to be in a part-time job. It was too much information, too much stress, and in the middle of the process, I need to stop for a while and restart it and do less than I used to do. So, and it helps me organize the ideas, and I always have also the need to, before I went to the doctor consultant of Sjögren, talk with my personal assistant, my wife. She always keeps me reminding what symptoms did I have last month, when did I feel worse, and when I get the parotids inflamed. I guess it was a suggestion, but I guess it was good to have a part of the caregiver to also get their opinion about our process, because brain fog is it's usually a condition for us. It's too many information. So sometimes we are good. Next night we don't sleep, and there are a lot of conditions that are spending with us. So I guess it will be nice to involve the caregiver or a familiar in this app, to have their opinion about how we stay. I guess it's important, and it's become in the same that we spoke about the importance of caregivers also in our health. About Apple, I guess the doctor and the clinical trial that I was participating, before I went to one week before I came to the consult, I have to fill up with the EULAR rules, some questionnaires like this, and it helps me, as I said before, to make a checkup what I have to do. And in the day of the consult and before the consult, I have the opportunity to be much and larger questionnaires about the way that I'm feeling since the last consultation. And it helps me to provide better care for myself, because, I didn't think about my relationship with someone, my social, the meetings that I used to do and I'm not making. I will have to try to make something, or to go visit my parents, or return to a call that someone did to me and I didn't. So this is also a useful tool to help us be in the middle of our life, to help us, to bring us together to our life. And I guess it's very complete. The only suggestion that I made was really the need of including them also a part for the family or the caregiver, or something that can bring another input to the tool. That's what. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucio. Please join us. Thank you. Thank you so much. And now I'm pleased to welcome Fanny Louise. Fanny Louise is a representative of the Norwegian Rheumatoid Association, representing Sjögren's disease, with a Sjögren's department. Thank you, Fanny, for sharing your story and your daily experience and daily management of the disease. Thank you.
I sent my PowerPoint to Nikki, but I'm not sure if you have received it.
Do you have the Fanny Louise presentation?
Okay, but I can do it without it. It's no problem.
As
I
you
just
wish.
need to have my notes, or else I won't know what to say. I won't remember half of it. Okay, let's see. Oh, now it says.
If you want a couple of minutes, we
okay.
can start.
Can I just put it here, or will it slide? Oh, there it is. How did you get it? That was fast. Wow. Okay, I won't need this one then. Yes, thank you. I have prepared my experiences in my everyday life, what I do during a day, during a week, to cope with having Sjögren's disease. Can I change myself, yes? Or do you change for me? Yeah, now. Okay, yes. I'm from Norway, as mentioned. I'm 52 years old. I've had Sjögren since early childhood, started having cavities as a 6-year-old, tested for diabetes when I was 12, but nobody thought of me having a disease. I'm a mother of 1 boy. I have a master's degree in musicology. And I used to work as a teacher in the music school, both with singing and piano lessons, and I had to quit because of the Sjögren, you know, being dry, being a vocal teacher, not possible. So now I work in elementary school. 4 years ago, I moved from my house into a housing cooperative. So there's no maintenance needed on my part. Everything is done by others, except I shovel some snow sometimes. That's okay. I have an apartment with hydronic heating, which is very nice, especially in the winter, because I don't need to make up in my fireplace as I used to do before. And I also have air humidifiers at home. I live alone, so I have no one to consider but me, which makes everything much more easier. My son is grown, so... So, my priorities during a workday, because I'm still in 100% employment, I prioritize eating lunch with my colleagues because of the social aspect, and because I like them, definitely. I try to drink enough water, and I also use chewing gum. I forgot to write that down. I do facial exercises because of the chewing gum. I have issues with my jaws. And I also do breathing exercises to just stress down. If something has happened in the classroom, I might need to go and be somewhere by myself for a while. Okay. Oh, there's the breathing exercises. Can I do like this? Yeah, and I move a lot around. I can't sit down for long. Even though I have a walking impairment at this moment, I need to just move around a bit. I can't sit in my couch all day when I get home from work, and I cannot just sit on a chair while I work either. Let me see. So, when I get home, I usually make dinner. I do some mindful exercises. I might do that at work as well. I might need a nap, depending on what I'm going to do later in the afternoon or in the evening. I go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, not to build my muscles, but to use them. I study. I study part-time, 50%, and I have time off work 2 days a week. So that's nice this year. And I also moderate our Sjögren's group, and I also am a part of the Sjögren's national group in Norway. Typically during a week, I can participate in a book circle meeting. That's once a month. I study, as I said, 2 days a week, daytime. I do dinner with my mom on Thursdays. She also has Sjögren's syndrome, disease. I need to get used to this, among other things. So every week we make dinner for each other, so we alternate. That's very nice to be able to do that, because we both live alone. Every Thursday I go to a quiz, And I also do a lot of work for the NRF, Sjögren's sykdom. This is disease. I have written it correctly. I have some oral routines to help me cope. I use dental floss, as I imagine a lot of you do as well. I use interdental brushes. I use a water flosser. I don't know if you use that, but I find that very helpful because I have a lot of, what is it called? I have a bridge covering almost all my front teeth. And so I need to be very adamant about my oral routines. I brush my teeth, of course, and I also use fluoride tablets or a mouthwash before bed. My eye routines, every other year I have IPL treatment to make my meibomian glands much, I don't know what to call it. It gets softer so that I can squeeze the out. And I also use warm eye masks. I use artificial tears. It's very important for me to use the ones with the hyaluronic acid. I have cyclosporin eye drops in the evening. I use audiobooks instead of reading, and luckily I get a free audiobook access because we have this I should have had someone in Norwegian now to translate for me because that's some words. But it's, yeah, they have access for blind people, but also people that can't read much can also get access to those audiobooks. I wear sunglasses even when it's not sunny outside, especially when driving a car. And if I don't have sunglasses, or addition to them, I wear a sun hat. Important for me is to have enough sleep. And I addressed that because I sleep a lot. I try not to stress. That's also important for me. Being motion, as mentioned earlier, the audiobooks. Work is important for me. A lot of people in Norway with Sjögrens, they don't work anymore. And we have different levels of how we function. I might be very highly functionable, or yeah, but I think I might, I'm not prone to self-diagnosing, but I think I have ADHD or something, because I need to do something all the time. And I talk a lot. Friends and family are also important for me, and laughing is very important to me. And about work, I think if you don't work, you need to find something to do, not just sit down and think that, oh, now I have a disease. Now I can do nothing. So having something to do, if you're not in work, I think it's very important. And lastly, do more of what makes you happy and less of what makes you unhappy.
Thank you so much to all of you. Is there any question or comments that you would like to address to our panelists? Kathy has one question.
This question, this comment, can I have a mic? I'd just like to comment to Pat this funny presentation, self-management, daily self-management. It is, we're very proud for you.
Yeah, that was exactly my comment, Kathy.
You're excellent. You're doing a lot. You're laughing, you're happy. And yes, we're very happy and proud of you.
Yes.
You're an example,
Yeah.
a great example. Thank you.
That was exactly, if anyone else has comment or question, just to conclude this super interesting practical session. Fanny Louise, just thank you and massive congrats, because I think that you are one example of self-management, of empowerment and living with the disease. I mean, seeing you, we have the impression it's just simple. So thank you so much to bring such positivity attitude. Lucio, thank you for for testing the tool for us, and you gave us also a couple of tips for self-management, building with this tool kind of autonomy. But you said something really important: never hesitate to ask and seek support to your caregiver when needed. So thank you. Joyce, your tool is just excellent, and I hope when it will be available, thank you deeply for the Deutsch Association, really, to share that. And we hope we will organize an online event when the tool will be available online in each language, in order to get used to this tool. And Joyce, a couple of remarks as well. I see other opportunities on top of what you all listed that encourage self-empowerment, and you said it, but that can also reduce frustration after clinic, because we all have lived this kind of frustration. You are out of the hospital and you said, I forgot, and you have to live 6 months before your next visit, and 6 months with that, I forgot. And besides, the famous recall period, when you go to see your physician, he will ask you, how do you feel since 2 weeks? By example, for DS3. In the last 2 weeks, did you experience pain and so on? We all know that it's super, super difficult to evaluate ourselves or fatigue, because if we were super bad last week, that will influence our own vision. But with a tool like that, it can also help a patient to assess honestly its disease in one way or one another, without dramatizing or without minimizing. So I think it's really, really important. And Maria, thank you again.
Can I just
sure.
add something? I think it's very important to use that tool every month, that you know how you're feeling that month. Otherwise you forget and you just use it when you're feeling bad.
Exactly. Exactly. In one way or another. And maybe the Joyce tip will be to write in your calendar, phone, whatever, on your desk, maybe it's the first of the month, you fill the questionnaire, and that will be kind of a routine, and that will assess really regularly, and that's important for the medical follow-up. Finally, Maria, massive thank you, as usual. Super presentation, super data. Couple of remarks as well. A confirmation of what we all think, but with solid data that you bring, that will help us, patient association, to advocate again and again on this typical burden, that pain and fatigue, multifaceted pain. Thank you. We've got now beautiful figures again to represent patient and advocate the silent burden of fatigue. And what I would like to say is, which is super important, is that Trend, your company, is not a pharma company, not patient, even if you have a step, unfortunately, in the patient community, but not Sjögren, and you are not clinician. That means that is totally objective vision, let's say naive, I don't know if it's the correct word in French it is, but a naive vision of the data, the symptoms, the burden, the patient, which give again more strength, I guess, to your study. The FLAIRS study has been published. I truly hope that we will continue again to work together, because it's a real pleasure. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.